Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central TV. It's time for News Now. I am Judith, Atibi. The top stories at this hour. Military declares Delta Monarch 7 others wanted for killing of Nigerian soldiers. Freed Kuriga school children reunite with parents. Cyclone Gemane kills 11 in Madagascar. Details shortly. News now begins in South Nigeria, where the Nigerian Army Defense Headquarters has declared 8 persons wanted over their roles in the recent killing of 17 military personnel at Okuama community in Ugeli South local government area of Delta State. The military released the list on Thursday at a briefing in Abuja. Those declared wanted are the newly installed traditional ruler of Ewu Kingdom, Clement Ikolo Ogene Rukewe, President General of Ewo Professor Ekpepu Arthur, Andawe Dennis Bakrikri Akbaro Daniel Omotegbo, aka Amagben, Akata Malawa David, Sinclair Oliki, Ruben Baru, and Ikoli Ibe. Joining us now on the news to further discuss this is News Central's correspondent in Delta State, Austin Azu. Austin, good afternoon. Let's quickly get started, shall we? At the burial of the slain soldiers yesterday, President Tinubu promised to bring perpetrators of the crime to book. And now, less than 24 hours later, the military has declared 8 persons wanted. What more can you tell us about this latest development?
Well, it's a thing that everyone has been looking forward to because, however, the military personnel has been invading neighboring communities all this while, all in the name of getting across to the suspect. But now that the suspect has publicly been published by the military personnel, I think it's the right step in the right direction. So by and large, I think it's something that everybody will now be looking forward to see. Anywhere they see this person listed on this list, they will be able to at least pass the message across to the military or the security agencies so that they will easily, get those people arrested. But what is so, not palatable to some persons, according to what they have told us here in Delta State, is the traditional ruler being listed by the military personnel to be declared wanted. But I remember vividly some time ago, the traditional ruler, that is His Royal Majesty Clement, came publicly to condemn the action that led to the killing of those soldiers in his kingdom. But the connection, the nexus at which he was being declared wanted by the military right now is very unknown to many persons. So I believe the time to come, there will be developing story to that effect, why the traditional ruler was declared wanted alongside. And likewise, the President General of the Kingdom, he equally said some time ago that he was not even in the country when the incident happened. So, but how come these people were declared wanted, these people who have condemned the act are being declared wanted by the military? So I believe it's a question that will begin to unravel as the day goes by.
And you are currently in Delta State. How are the residents there taking this news?
Like I said earlier on, some residents of Uweru Kingdom are not quite happy about the development so far, that their own monarch has been declared wanted by the military. And some of them have equally said that it means that they have equally declared their kingdoms wanted because that the incident that took place in Okuama.
We seem to have lost Austin there. Austin, are you there? Yeah, Austin, are you there? All right. In the meantime, we will move away from that story, but more when we try to make that connection with Austin. But in the meantime, Nigeria's president has approved scholarship up to university level for all children of the 17 soldiers killed in Okuama community in Delta State. Now, this was during the burial ceremony of the soldiers at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja, where the president commiserated with the families of the soldiers and the military, promising to ensure that those responsible will be brought to book. Idong Joseph has this report.
The remains of the 17 soldiers who were killed on March the 14th while on a peacekeeping exercise in the Okuama community of Delta State, Nigeria's south-south region. Emotions filled the atmosphere as relatives, friends and colleagues, including senior government officials and Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, gathered at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja to pay their last respects.
When soldiers die in the hands of the enemies of the state, we take it as dying for what the nation has considered a just cause. But when they are gruesomely murdered by the very people they are trained, killed, and took an oath to protect, it is highly demoralizing.
We will honor your memory by continuing the fight against those who seek to undermine our peace and security. We will remain steadfast in our resolve to build a nation worthy of your sacrifice.
President Tinubu, while commending the military for not carrying out a reprisal attack on the community, announced the award of national honors to all the slain soldiers. He also ordered the payment of benefits to their families immediately.
The 4 gallant officers have been accorded the award of members of the Order of Niger, MON. The 13 courageous soldiers who also lost their lives have been awarded the Officers of the Federal Republic Medal. The military, we appeal to you to within the next 90 days to ensure that all benefits of departed are paid to their families.
It was all sorrow and tears as the military laid its slain comrades, and you can literally feel the agony in the atmosphere. President Bola Tinubu, while assuring relatives and friends of the deceased that they will get justice, promised to bring those responsible to book.
I want to make it clear once more that those who committed this heinous crime will not go unpunished.
The president urged the military not to allow the incident at Okuama discourage them from carrying out their lawful responsibilities. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Still in Delta, south Nigeria, 2 weeks after 17 soldiers were killed in an ambush in Okuama community of Delta State, south Nigeria, the hunt for the masterminds has not ceased. Residents of Orere, one of the communities raided by the military personnel, have raised alarm over alleged torture and harassment by soldiers. News Central's correspondent Austin Azu brings this report.
A visit to Orere, one of the affected communities, reportedly to have been raided by the military. Residents frown at the manner the military carried out their operations. Great effect could have been without the extreme embarrassment and torture it brought. Some residents of Orere, a predominantly farming community, narrated their experience when the soldiers came calling.
From then, I moved direct with them to the community town hall. When we got there, they used all the whole men sit down for ground. Many of them, they marched there for back, say they be criminal, that they kill their people for the riverside.
So you just waking up from your bed, the next thing you see are more than 200 military men with guns and ammunition everywhere. This community already is not even by the river bank. So there is nothing connecting us to Okuama. Even if they are investigating what transpired in Okuama, the way and manner the Nigerian army is going about it, I think is not right. If gunboat came from the river of army yesterday, where four healers of army came from the land. So then they now hold me, beating me, they now drag me enter their boat, that I should show them the community. Then I follow them down to the community. The moment we step into the community, the entrance of the community, they now shoot, they're starting shooting.
they started shooting. So they now drag everybody to the juju side to destroy the juju and went to the shrine, the community town hall to mess everybody up. They injure five to 7 people. Even me said they even injure me. Students themselves, when they want to write the exam yesterday, run loss. Even Tina self, some of them said they find them. They never will see them up to date.
Other victims said they are yet to see their loved ones who ran for their lives when soldiers stormed the community with gunboats.
Everybody they run, with the shooter they run, never see them. My people don't go to the mama do the time, everybody never see them now.
Meanwhile, the Director of Media Operations of the Defense Headquarters, Major General Edward Buba, in a statement, said soldiers are combing some communities in Delta and Bayelsa states in search of wanted suspects who are on the run, and to recover weapons and arrest the perpetrator of the killers of 17 soldiers in the area. In Orere community, Delta State, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
And on to the north of Nigeria, where the parents of the abducted Kuriga school children at the Chinko local government area of Kaduna State have finally been reunited with their children several days after being handed over to the Kaduna State government. The children, who were rescued from northern Zamfara State by the Nigerian Army and brought back to Kaduna State on Sunday, were officially handed over to the governor on Monday. Surprisingly, the parents of the kidnapped school children were not present during the ceremony, which sparked a lot of controversy.
Allah ne dora mana wata kaddara mutane da ba irin namu ba sau kwashe mu suka kai mu cikin daji. Allah kuma ya ba mu fita muka fito, an karbe mu hannu biyu, an taimaka mana, an ba marasa lafiya magani waɗanda jikinsu bai masu daɗi ba, an taimake mu matuƙa, mun ji daɗi gaskiya. Muna godiya ga baya goyon marayu, Allah ya ƙara ɗaukaka. Muna godiya ga gwamna, Allah ya ƙara ɗaukaka, Allah ya ƙara taimakawa. Zuwa nan ya ƙara man ƙwarin gwiwa akan cewa iman Allah da sai na yi karatu matuƙa. Allah ya so ya.
Sunana Aisha Muhammad. Muna godiya ga gwamnati da uwan marayu da suka taimaka mana. Allah ya sa muka ga iyayenmu lafiya, su ma suka ga mu lafiya. Muna fata Allah ya ƙara ɗaukaka su. Mu ma Allah ya ba mu fatan da muke buri a rayuwarmu.
Ba mu san a Kaduna ma an ɗauke mu wani abu kusa da wajen gwamna da sakataren gwamna. Ubangiji Allah muna roƙonka, Allah ka saka mu wa'annan mutane, kuma ya Allah ina roƙonka a nan mu dai a nan ba ma nan kuri gaba jihar Kaduna ma gaba daya muna fata wannan shine ɗaukar ɗalibai a kai su wani wuri.
Heartfelt thanks there to the government and also the military officials there from the parents and students in the Chinko community. Now, earlier, News Central's correspondent Marvelous Obomanu joined me live from Kaduna to speak more on this.
In the last 72 hours, these parents have been so eager and excited to meet with their children. And just yesterday in the evening, the government house hosted the parents to a banquet where they were all reunited with their children and their loved ones. And from the video you saw, you could see the level of excitement that went on there. But for the fact that if all the whole children were rescued and if the parents saw their children at all, we are not privy to that information. Why? Because no media organization was allowed to cover that particular video you saw yesterday. In fact, it was the in-house government media that covered that event and then sent it to the government house press platform where we all saw the video. We were even shocked that such a thing happened and then no media organization was invited to cover the event. So it was a bit secluded event. So we don't know if actually the parents were able to see all their children and all. So we're not there to feel that excitement. What we saw was just the video.
I also spoke to the Executive Director, Network of Civil Society in Borno State, Balama Abisu, and he talked to me more on tackling kidnappings and banditry in Nigeria. Take a look.
And the underlying factor is multifaceted, I can say. One, the economic aspect of the country is also another angle, where you can see a parent or any person cannot be able to actually provide for its own home. Secondly, the issue of trust is also another issue that actually degenerated into a lot of serious issues where a small thing between one community and other or between one religion and other will degenerate into violence such that you cannot be able to even control. Thirdly, you can see suspicion between the ethnic groups in the country, where even at the larger angle of our political divide, you will see a group that went to this city or state that were rejected and that were asked to not to, this is not your own land and what have you. So these are some of the compounding issues.
And now to politics, and this time Nigeria's politics, as the Independent National Electoral Commission has disowned Wednesday's Labour Party National Convention in Anambra. The Chief Press Secretary of INEC Chairman, and that is Rotimi Oyekomi, said this when he spoke with journalists in Abuja on Thursday. Oyekomi said that the conduct of the convention was not monitored by INEC, declining to state further why it was not monitored. However, it was reported that the LP, that's the Labour Party, had on Tuesday shifted the convention from Umuahia in Abia to Nnewi, Anambra State. Speaking on the venue change, Kehinde Edu, the Labour Party national legal advisor, told newsmen that the party had duly informed INEC about the change in venue and date. And still in the same vein, Nigeria Labour Congress has declared the Wednesday Labour Party convention a nullity, vowing that Abure would not be recognized. The national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, secured re-election on Wednesday at a convention held in Nnewi, Anambra State, amid heavy security. Now, at the convention, the party also announced its decision to reserve its presidential ticket for the 2027 general election solely for Peter Obi, who was its presidential candidate last year. It accorded the same privilege to the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti. Reacting to the outcome of the convention, NLC spokesman Benson Upa declared it as an illegality and a nullity as well. We're going on a very short break. When we come back on the other side, we turn our attention to Africa's debt crisis. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. And we continue with Nigeria's economy as President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment of the Presidential Economic Coordination Council, PEC, and the creation of the Economic Management Team Emergency Task Force. The establishment of the two bodies is a strategic move to bolster the nation's economic governance frameworks and ensure robust and coordinated economic planning and implementation. A statement by presidential spokesman Ajure Ngaleli noted that the PEC comprises distinguished leaders and key government officials, and also that the body has president as chairman, the vice president as vice chairman of the PEC, and chairman of the National Economic Council. Others are the President of the Nigerian Senate, Chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, Coordinating Minister for the Economy and Minister of Finance, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, and the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. And now we talk about Africa's debt crisis, as economic experts in Africa have raised concerns over the rising debt crisis, which is surging at a fast pace. Now, speaking at the recent International Conference on African Debt Crisis and International Financial Architecture in Accra, Ghana, the stakeholders addressed the role of global financial bodies like the IMF in financing and debt servicing. The conference, which runs for 4 days, is organized by the International Development Economics Associates in Accra, Ghana. Now, News Central's Adeshewa Udushoga is in Accra, Ghana, and files in this report.
The African continent is grappling with a huge debt crisis, which may be hindering it from adequate access to finance, financing its climate action, achieving its sustainable development goals, and improving its economic growth potential. The continent has continued to be victims of Western economic shocks with rising interest rate and a devalued local currency, which is making it almost impossible to service its debt. Economic and financial experts within and outside the continent have gathered in this room, forming an international conference to discuss the African debt crisis and the international financial architecture.
When you have a problem, the IMF comes and tries to reduce the damage done. But the question is, who was the arsonist in the first place? Okay, this is a problem. You're not going to you cannot control the US in this situation. When the US chooses to raise interest rates, I mean, this current raising of interest rates, was it because of a big problem which needed interest rates to be raised? No, it was because the US Federal Reserve Bank wanted to discipline organized labor.
We need to understand as Africans that nobody owes us a living.
During the conference, a spotlight was shed on countries in the Sahel region, bounded by a common currency of the CFA franc. Conversations around how the CFA franc is keeping the countries poor and the need to exit and establish an alternative currency were brought to the fore.
We'll have to either reform the systems or transitioning out. And that's the debate we have now. And how do we ensure that the transition is smooth, not chaotic, but result into a system that deliver on expected growth dividend that people are waiting for and looking for, is the main challenge. And there's been a lot of discussion in the past, and you heard today that one aspect will be to make sure that we have enough reserve, foreign reserve, as a caution.
Or is it an impossible association?
The speakers at the event who spoke in turns highlighted what they tagged as the unwarranted role of the global financial bodies like the IMF in debt restructuring for African countries and how it is designed to keep the continent indebted with a rising interest rate.
We've got to figure out a way of insulating our own currencies from dependence on the US dollar, which is something that I think the new Senegalese president, for example, is trying to sort of think about. So this I see as a way, as kind of solutions way forward.
As part of the numerous resolutions, speakers here are urging African leaders to exploit their respective natural resources as a source for foreign reserves, form a continent-based financial body, and a common currency that reflects its macroeconomics, amongst others. In Accra, Ghana, for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoga.
But this time it's in the north of Nigeria. Now, in a bid to learn from the successful Borno model of peace building in Nigeria's northeast, a delegation from the Accra Initiative of Ghana visited the Borno State Deputy Governor in Maiduguri. Now, the Borno model of peace building led to the surrender of over 160,000 insurgents. Now, News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes this report.
Maiduguri, the capital city of Nigeria's Borno state. Peace finally taking root, and the state is recovering from the shackles of the age-old insurgency. People now go about their day-to-day activities without fear of attack by insurgents. This is largely attributed to the Borno model, a persuasive peace-building initiative that encourages voluntary surrender by insurgents to embrace peace. The Accra Initiative delegation, comprising high-ranking officials from Ghana, are here in Borno State to study the Borno model.
It is better for us to learn, and we hope that by the time we go back, we'll be able to inculcate these steps in the methods in which we are addressing insurgency.
Good things like this need to be showcased and told for people to know that we have homegrown solutions to problems that hitherto people thought we couldn't do anything about.
Kinetic operations win the war, but only non-kinetic operations can win the peace. And this is what Borno model has showcased, how to win the peace. To win the war, the military has done that. But to win the peace, you need the political will, you need the coordination, you need the cohesive management of resources and the exploration of innovative ideas, organic to contextual communities. It has to be locally sourced, locally owned, so that the community can feel a sense of ownership and belonging. And that is what the Borno model is.
The exchange of ideas and experiences, particularly the persuasive mechanisms, is said to be crucial in helping Ghana and other African nations develop effective peace-building strategies. The Borno model of peace building has gained international recognition for its success in countering insurgency and maintaining peace in the region.
so happy because the whole world, have started recognizing the approaches that the Borno State government and the federal government have been doing towards the DDR program. Everybody has his own peculiar problems, but I believe if we harness what is obtainable from each other, I think we'll find a solution to the problems that we have been facing.
The visit by the Accra Initiative delegation to Borno State also aims to forge a strong partnership between the two West African countries and pave the way for further collaboration in combating insurgency across Africa. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umori Kirawa.
And now we're on to Ghana to talk to Adeshawa Odushoga, a correspondent there for the Debt Crisis Conference where she's at. Adeshawa, hi, can you hear me now?
Hi, Judith.
Yeah, I asked the question earlier, so that's where you were at. We couldn't see you. I couldn't find you at the newsroom earlier.
So I've been in Accra, Ghana, and it's been really, really nice here.
Yeah, well, clearly I can see that. But give us an update on what is happening at the debt conference. What are the speakers focusing on today?
Okay, it's the theory of the summit. We're recovering from the first day. And then today the focus is on the restructuring of debt sustainability or debt solvency of the African countries. So one of the major issues here is looking at the earnings of African countries and how they can improve their earnings, especially the export earnings, so they do not solely depend on the loans, but I think domestic or even foreign loans that are used to fund running the government of the state. Now, most of the developers know that Africans export to shift from commodity-based earnings to industrialized economy.
Coming up, the cyclone in Madagascar, we're going to give you updates on that. We hear that it's killed 11 so far. Find out more after the break. Don't go anywhere. Hey, welcome back. You are watching News Central TV. This is News Now. As promised, we promised to bring you our correspondent from Accra, Ghana, who is there for the Debt Crisis Conference, and she joins me live now, Adeshawa Odushoga, who is in Accra, Ghana. Adeshawa, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Judith.
All right. Fantastic. So you were giving us updates on what is happening at the Debt Conference and what the focus is on today. Please carry on.
Yes, like I said earlier, the focus of today is on the debt restructuring and then how African leaders must now start to think of the alternative earning options for them instead of relying on this debt, because it appears that it's the second time the African countries would be going into debt crisis from the last one that was experienced in 1980s. Now, the United States Federal Reserves have increased its interest rate, and this is taking a huge turn, having a huge impact on African countries. 24 out of 55 African countries. This is enormous, and it's just okay. I mean, it makes sense to know that a conference such as this needs to be held at this point in time. Now, when we talk about earnings, Africans' export earnings are much more focused on, commodity prices. That's the exportation of raw materials, like you know it. Africa is a continent that is really blessed with natural resources, and this is mostly exported in its raw forms. Like we have in Nigeria. Nigeria exports its crude oil in its raw forms and then imports the refined product. Ghana, as you have it, exports its raw golds, and these are polished in the United States and other Western countries, and then it is imported. And the United States, in return, keeps its own foreign reserves in gold, and this makes the United States more, richer than these African countries. It's almost impossible to think that Ghana, which is the primary source of this gold product, are even not as rich as the United States, where this gold exported in raw form. So the basic deliberations of speakers here are that African must stop or start to rethink of industrializing its economy, not exporting, basing its economy on commodity prices, which are controlled and determined by
by these Western countries. We also have Nigeria, which is the highest exporter of uranium, and then its highest export earnings is derived from onions. I mean, that's laughable. So speakers here are saying that African leaders must start to industrialize its economy, and they're not based on commodity prices, whose prices are not even determined by them. Also, issues around the global financial bodies like the International Monetary Fund are also raised here. They said that the IMF is being biased with the way it relates with African countries with access to funding. Also, credit rating agencies are also spotlighted here, saying that credit rating agencies are also one of the bigger problems with, almost false narrative on the financing, processes that happen in Africa. And so this, sometimes creates the wrong impression of the African country to potential investors. So credit rating agency, the global financial bodies like the IMF and World Bank, and all that, and the issues around the earnings, the primary source of raising revenues and finances of African countries were brought to the fore. And then it is also important to know that the current debt crisis is born out of the increasing interest rates, especially by the United States, which is one of the primary creditors to African countries. African countries rely on three major creditors. We have the private creditors, the multilateral creditors, and also the bilateral creditors. Now, it's sad to know that the majority of African countries, are indebted to these three creditors, and if it's no matter how easy it is to get out of the debt crisis owed to multilateral and bilateral creditors, private creditors are in for business, and it's almost impossible to get more what will I call it, grace periods now, to get the debts, serviced on time. So it appears that most of these debts, loans that are gotten from these creditors are higher, with a shorter grace period and an increase in interest rates.
Increasing interest rates and shorter grace period. And of course, I understand that those windows are going to grow even shorter, given the economic uncertain times that we're seeing globally. Adeshawa, thank you so much. We'll definitely get more updates as today unfolds. Appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you, Judith.
And that's Adeshawa Odushoga there at the Debt Crisis International Conference happening live in Accra, Ghana. In the meantime, we'll now move to Senegal, where opposition candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye has emerged as the winner of Sunday's election with 54.28% of the total votes. Now, this is according to official provisional results released by the Electoral Commission on Wednesday. Presidential candidates have until the end of Thursday to file appeals challenging Faye's win, failure to which the Constitutional Council will confirm him as the president-elect. Now, Faye's main challenger, former Prime Minister Amadou Ba of the ruling coalition, secured 35.79% of total votes. Now, Ba, along with several of the other 15 presidential candidates or contestants, have already conceded and congratulated Faye, and it is considered unlikely that they will appeal against the results.
33%. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, 2 751 voix. Amadou Ba, 1 605 086 voix, soit 35,79% des suffrages exprimés. Aliou Mamadou Dia, 125 690 voix, soit 2,80%.
And in East Africa, a slow-moving cyclone that unexpectedly turned toward Madagascar has killed 11 people on the island nation. Now, this comes as high winds ripped down trees and torrents of rain water rushed through villages, washing away houses. Cyclone Gamane was projected to skim the island, and that sits in the Indian Ocean east of southern Africa, but changed course and made landfall in the north. 6 people have drowned and 5 others were killed by collapsing houses or falling trees, authorities said, adding that some 7,000 people on the island were affected by the storm. Numerous routes and bridges were flooded and cut off. The bodies of 2 construction workers have been found in the cold waters of Baltimore Harbor, trapped in their red pickup truck after a giant cargo ship slammed into the bridge they had been filling potholes on, causing a thunderous collapse. Maryland police announced the grim discovery at a press conference, adding that sonar shows what they believe are more vehicles trapped within the concrete and twisted steel debris of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. 6 of the 8-man construction crew are believed to have been killed, with 4 bodies yet to be found.
Shortly before 10 a.m., divers located a red pickup truck submerged in approximately 25 feet of water in the area of the middle span of the bridge. Divers recovered two victims of this tragedy trapped within the vehicle. The victims were identified as Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes, 35 years old, of Baltimore, and Dorlian Ranial Castillo Cabrera, 26 years old, of Dundalk.
After 6 days of competing in various sports and games by secondary schools in Abia State, southeast Nigeria, the hunt for fresh talents might have been narrowed down. Now, some of those who emerged champions in various fields of play were those who never had the privilege of showing their talents. Now, News Center's Chinwe Ugeli was at the closing ceremony of the sports festival tagged Unity Schools for secondary schools in Umuahia, the state capital.
For 6 days, the students drawn from secondary schools in all the local government areas of Abia State competed against one another in at least 24 sports in a freshly introduced festival of sports. Even the disabled ones participated in specialized sports like para-powerlifting, which exposed their capacities for the first time. The Chief of Staff, Pastor Caleb Ajaba, who represented the governor, was sure the event achieved its aim.
He is starting what can be done as a foundational step that will launch many of us who remain focused to global reckoning. Abia State is coming.
As for the State Director of Sports, the gains of the 6 days were enormous.
That coach George, came to me with smiles and close to tears. Said, Director, I have gotten 6 solid stars in that. The same thing to athletics, the same thing to weightlifting, the same thing to Scrabble. In fact, in that of Scrabble, the coach said, I have gotten a genius.
For many years to come, these teenagers who have exhibited great skills will tell the story of leaving their homes to be camped in the state capital, only to showcase their hidden talents.
I will, and I will do it, and I will continue doing it until I become perfect.
I want them to help me in football first before going to any university.
I hope going to represent Nigeria.
After now, I'm not going to drop after my secondary school.
I like the training since 2021 that I started the training. This year will make me 4 years of starting this training. So I will keep on trying my best. I will not stop this training.
The beauty of every competition is the ecstasy that comes with victory, but basically the new friendships and alliances formed among people who were hitherto strangers, and the hope that great opportunities await the athletes in the future. In Umuahia News Central, Chinwe Ugeli.
And now for a bit of entertainment news. The Rand Show is undoubtedly one of Johannesburg's most iconic events, bringing priceless childhood memories. The biggest consumer lifestyle show features a captivating blend of entertainment, innovation, and discovery. From exciting live performances to cutting-edge installations, the expo offers an adventure for the entire family. Now, this year's event will run from March 28th to April 1st.
Good afternoon, Judith, and also good afternoon to our viewers. Coming to you live from Nazareth, that is here in Joburg, at the Run Show. The Run Show is an entertainment, and also it brings in entrepreneurs, and it's also business people. It happens once a year, almost Easter time every year it happens, where young children, adults, and business people, entrepreneurs come together just to showcase their goods and also businesses. It's not only a business show, but it's also a talk show where you find that business people meet together and share ideas. But other than that, we also have the SANDF, that is the army here in South Africa, that also comes in to show in their capabilities. And also there is a career guidance also from the police, the army, and other businesses, just for those who would want to know, especially those that are coming out of school, to know what career path they should take. But with me, I am with Colonel Rollins from the SANDF Communications, just to tell us how they are going to be doing their capabilities this year. Good morning, not Captain. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here at News Central TV.
Good morning to you, and thank you for inviting the SANDF to your show. Thank you, and good morning to your viewers as well.
What are you bringing to Run Show this year?
Yes, the South African National Defence Force is quite excited to be here at the Run Show. We are bringing all our military hardware. We're showcasing the South African Army, which is an arm of service within the South African National Defence Force, showcasing military hardware. And we have the South African Air Force with the aircraft that is on all our military fighter aircrafts that are here on display. We as well have the South African Navy, who's our divers, and all the boats are here, so everybody can get a touch and feel, get on the boat, see what it feels like to be in the South African Navy. And lastly, we have the South African Military Health Service, who have a full range of healthcare programs and professions that are here on exhibition.
And what do you have for the matriculates who would want to take a path in the SANDF?
Absolutely. We are in this year particularly very much interested in our youth. So we are challenging the youth of South Africa to say, take up a career in the South African National Defence Force. We have our indoor exhibitions. They are most welcome to come. We have our competent communicators in there that are ready and waiting to can explain to them various career paths that are available within the South African National Defence Force. So there is a wide range of information available for the youth to can make an informed choice. They will be educated, they will be informed, and this is what we want to communicate to them, to say, do come and have an interactive exchange with our career managers.
Thank you so much for joining us here at News Central. That was the representative of the SANDF here at the Run Show. But I just want my camera person to pan to my right so that I can show you what is happening here. A lot of activities are happening here. You can see on my left side there are a lot of people, children, and on the other side there are also stalls, people who are selling their goods. And there is a lot of fun for kids, not only kids only, but also adults who are here at the Run Show, and it's a lot of activity that will be happening until the 1st of April. It's back to you in the studio, Judith.
Many thanks to you, Zaziba Bugani, our News Central correspondent, live at the Rand Show in Johannesburg, South Africa. And that's all that we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Military has declared Delta Monarch and 7 others wanted for killing of Nigerian soldiers. Freed Kuriga school children have reunited with their parents. We also told you that Cyclone Gamane has killed 11 in Madagascar. Now remember that you can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on your screen. And do make sure to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Judith, Atibi.